This is part 3 of my Tide bounce back loan scandal expose. Now, if you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, you're going to have to watch it because I'm not repeating all that lot. Basically, this is now an update as things have been happening behind the scenes. Now, you would have heard me rambling on that I enlisted the help of the, how can I put this? Well, the Labour Party, I'm going to be quite blunt here, and yet to be determined COVID Corruption Commissioner's team. They're going to have a COVID Corruption Commissioner. I can't even say the bloody word. They're going to have a COVID Corruption Commissioner. I hope they call it something else. I can't keep saying that. Anyway, I ran a story on the website that people might have been concerned about this COVID Corruption Commissioner if they're a genuine, hard-working, self-employed person, business owner who cannot afford and has possibly defaulted on the bounce back loan. I've run the story on the website just to alert them to the fact, because I know everybody reads my website. Long story short, fair play to them. I got contacted by, let's just say someone in the Labour Party. That's all you need to know. And they said, Mike, no, we're only going after the bad boys, the bad girls, the people who really scam the system. You'll see their response over on my website. Fair play to them. Thank you for that. But long story short, I thought, well, hang on a minute. I've got this problem here with Tide, the government, the British Business Bank, the FCA, the Ombuds. I could list a huge long list of people who have ignored me, said there's nothing we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. And there could be up to 800 and odd people sat at home now. Well, I know there are. Fuck it, I'm going to speak. I speak to a lot of people on my helpline, my bounce back loan helpline. Over 10,000 people I've spoke to in the last nearly 2 years now. And I spoke to people who are getting hit with them hidden, immoral, illegal, not allowed fees and charges that Tide and their outrageous debt collectors are hitting people with. And nobody would help me. So I thought, well, if I'm chatting to the Labour's COVID Corruption Commissioner's team, somebody influential, I'm not going to waste the opportunity, am I? So I said, look, I need some help here. I said, can you help me? And fucking fair play, they have done. And we've got a result. So where do I start? Right. 3 questions were put to Kemi Badenoch. She's the Secretary of State for the Department of Trade and Business, and her sidekick, Kevin Hollinrake. Don't set me off on him. Anyway, he's blocked me on Twitter, have I told you? I can see. You see, they block you on Twitter. That's the type of mentality they are. But anyway, I'm not making this political. Labour said they'd help me. Fair play to them. 10 out of 10. So I passed them all the details over. All the proof that this scam was going on, and they asked 3 questions to Kemi Badenoch, the Secretary of State, who delayed the look at the script. Well, I'm going to scroll through the questions that were asked and put to her department. So she got a little lackey, Hollinrake, to answer them, and you'll see shortly the answers. Okay, so here are the 3 questions that were put to Kemi Badenoch, along with the answers from her lackey, Kevin Hollinrake. There was a phone call I got before the 3rd question was answered the night before, which, as I'm recording, was last night. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Anyway, here's the first question. And as you can see, it was asked by Charlotte Nichols, Labour MP for Warrington North. Well done, thank you, Charlotte, for that. To ask the Secretary of State for Business and Trade what rules and regulations apply to the operation of the Bounce Back Loan Scheme agreements as of the 24th of January 2024, and whether lenders may A. levy fees and B. charge additional interest under the scheme. Now, the question was asked on the 24th of January, and it was answered on the 1st of February. So nice one, Kevin. Nice that you couldn't be asked to answer a simple question, but I don't know politics. So Kevin Hollinrake, Kemi Badenoch's little lackey there, Conservative for Thirsk and Moulton. I'm sure you're all proud of him up that neck of the woods. Anyway, he answered it on the 1st of February 2024. Shall I do an impression? I don't know what he sounds like. Anyway, Here's his answer on the 1st of February 2024. The Bounce Back Loan Scheme provided financial support to businesses across the UK that faced disruption as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, tell us something we didn't know. A lender could provide a 6-year term loan. God, don't he stretch this out? Just give us the answer. A lender could provide a 6-year term loan from £2,000 up to 25% of a business's turnover, up to a maximum of £50,000. Is he getting paid per word? The scheme gave lenders a full 100% government-backed guarantee against the outstanding balance of the facility. Here we go. As part of the scheme design, no early repayment fees or other lender-levied fees of any type following drawdown were permitted. The government covered the first 12 months of interest, which meant that borrowers paid 0% interest for the first year. Following that, an interest rate of 2.5% per annum applies. A list of frequently asked questions, blah blah blah, is available on the British Business Bank website. Okay, so he's answered that quite clearly there. As part of the scheme design, no early repayment fees or other lender-levied fees of any type following drawdown were permitted. So they couldn't charge it. Fantastic. We got there. Right. Question 2. Now, question 2 was asked on the 24th of January. Again, and this one was answered on the 1st of February. Charlotte Nichols, once again, thank you very much. Labour, Warrington North, fantastic. Thank you, Charlotte. To ask the Secretary of State for Business and Trade what recourse is available to a business if they suspect that A, a lender, and B, an organisation or person acting on behalf of a lender is not complying with the regulations of the Bounce Back Loan Scheme. Right, Kevin again answered it on the 1st of February 2024, so it was that, a week later. The Bounce Back Loan Scheme rules were developed with the British Business Bank, no shit Sherlock, who accredited lenders to the Bounce Back Loan Scheme. Any business concerned about compliance with the scheme rules by a lender or an organisation or person acting on behalf of a lender should follow the lender's complaint process in the first instance before pursuing with the Financial Ombudsman Service if required. And then he gives a little link to the Ombudsman Service. Well, I sort of sussed what was going to be one of the answers, which is that one. So I sent an email, dear viewer, over to the Ombudsman, which you can see on the screen, and it says, "Hi, I'm running an expose on one of the Bounce Back Loan lenders breaking the rules of the scheme. I have had this confirmed by the government," and you'll see all that in the other videos I did, part 1 and part 2, "who are afraid of doing anything about it, and as such have stated that anybody who has been scammed by that lender should contact you and make use of your service. I have spoken to you a great many times and the Executive Committee at the FCA on similar BBL topics, and as such, to finalise my news story, can you give me a statement on the following questions? Question 1. Are Bounce Back Loan related complaints still taking up to 2 years to get a resolution on? And question 2. Do all Bounce Back Loan related complaints first get addressed by a caseworker who will only then finally hand it over to an ombudsman once someone unhappy with the caseworker's outcome appeals that decision? Let me know. My deadline is today." Well, fair play to them. They got back to me. "Hi Mike, thanks for your email. Please see our responses on the background as follows. The majority of complaints relating to Bounce Back loans resolved last year were resolved within 12 months. Okay, 12 months. 12 months. Imagine that you're being hounded for 10% extra in illegal fees and charges, and these idiots can't be asked. And it doesn't even go to a... Anyway, calm down, Mike. We have a 2-stage process. Now, a lot of you out there don't know this, but this 2-stage process, a case will be investigated and an initial assessment will be given. Most cases are resolved at this stage. If either the customer or the business disagrees with our assessment, it will go to an ombudsman for a final decision. The process is set out on our website, blah, blah, blah. So if you didn't know that, if you go to the Ombudsman, this is why it takes so long. You go to the Ombudsman, you file your complaint, and then a case handler, or whatever she called it, looks at it, and they'll give an outcome on it. Right? And if you're not happy with that, then you can appeal, and then it actually lands on the desk of Jenny or Paul or any of the real physical trained ombudsmen. So that's why it takes 2 years now. So I know some cases have gone on for 2 years because I've seen it, but just think, you're being hounded for charges you shouldn't be paying. Anyway, that's the second question answered. Let me tell you about the phone call. Well, in fact, there were 2 phone calls. The first one was, if you remember in part 1 and 2 of this video, I can't remember which one it was now, I passed somebody over to the government and said, there's all his document, there's his details, he's been scammed by Tide, please do something. Well, they never even got back to him, right? And that's when I got the phone call dead of night saying we're not going to do anything, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he contacted me. He sent me an email shortly in the timeline of them questions I've just read out being asked to the Secretary of State, Kemi Badenoch. So now they're aware of it. Anyhow, he's called me and he says, look, mate, the Tide have been lovely all of a sudden. They're offering me the earth on a plate. So I said, well, send me all the documents, let me have a look. So that's the email he sent with all the attachments and whatever. He says, hi, Mike, thanks for the recent update. This is the latest email from Tide. I've also attached a screenshot of all the messages and emails and all that. He's received a phone call advising me that I could pay a little amount direct to Tide, and I mustn't pay one of the debt collectors. I'll forward this email that confirms all this. It seems they're all over the place. So Tide got in touch with this guy. We're emailing him, messaging him, phoning him up like somebody was on the back saying, what the fuck have you been doing with these fees and charges? Anyway, long story short, that customer is now miraculously sorted. Touch wood, he'll be sorted. Tide have been in touch, said, don't pay the debt collectors, pay us. Do you want to pay, I don't know, 7 pence a week? Oh, we'll do anything. Oh, do you want us to make a coffee? Blah, blah, blah. They were being unbelievably nice. From the completely arsey letters they were saying, threatening him with court, and they were going to do this, and 10% extra. So, they've been rumbled. And it doesn't stop. I've still been contacted by a ton of other people who haven't been sorted out. But anyway, that's the customer, right? Now, last night, yet again, if you look on the screen, there's the time of the call and who he came from, etc. I get another call off the government. Now, this was last night before the last question was answered today, moments ago, as I'm recording this, by Kevin Hollinrake for Kemi Badenoch. The phone call went something along the lines of, Mike, it was from the government, obviously. They said, Mike, we've watched your videos. I have this vision of like everybody around the cabinet table watching me fucking ranting. Anyhow, how can I put this? I think they were very apologetic at what they said to me in the first phone call, if you remember, late at night. Very apologetic this time. And how can I put this? Read between the lines. If what I've just told you about that first customer, along with where it's gone and how it's been rectified and how I've sort of shamed, let's just say things are going to happen. I'm confident, or they better fucking happen. Moving forward, things will hopefully get rectified, and arses better be kicked. Because if you look at my website, you'll see people are being jailed for bounce back loan wrongdoing, and people are getting long disqualifications and bankruptcy restrictions orders, and all these abusers. Well, if one of them lenders is abusing the BBL scheme with them extra fees and charges, I hope the same sort of punishment is meted out and not some pathetic little tap on the wrist. Anyway, The final question, which has just come through, it's probably about an hour ago, something like that, is question number 3. So here's question number 3. Bear in mind this has just come through, and the timeline of everything, that the phone call last night, the man the other day getting everything, offered the world on a plate, everything he wanted. Oh, you wouldn't believe how nice tied are being now. Anyway, once again, can I thank everybody in Labour, in the Labour Party, who has assisted me, and especially Charlotte Nichols, you, my darling Aristar, Labour, Warrington North MP. This is the final question. Now, this was asked, I'll be honest with you, this was asked a little bit later than the other ones. Right, now, question number 3 was asked on the 29th of January 2024. You see, because let's just say we're not daft. We know if the Department for Business and Trade and the Minister for State knows we're on to her, it's all about timing, my lovelies. Anyway, it was asked on the 29th of January, and it's just been answered today, which is the 6th of February 2024, by young Kevin Hollinrake. Right, now this is a corker. Once again, thank you so much, Charlotte. To ask the Secretary of State for Business and Trade what her department's policy is on lenders threatening to charge additional fees and penalties on the repayment of loans under the Bounce Back Loan Scheme, and whether her department has taken enforcement action against such lenders. And here we go, Kevin Hollinrake has stepped forth, Conservative MP Thurston Moulton. He answered it 6th of February 2024. As part of the scheme design, no early repayment fees or other lender-levied fees of any type following drawdown were permitted. The Lender Audit and Assurance Programme verifies appropriate administration of COVID loan scheme portfolios by accredited delivery partners. Does he not use commas? In line with their contractual obligations. If any concerns are identified, remedial actions are agreed with delivery partners to rectify areas failing to meet guarantee requirements. Ooh, I think they should have all the guarantees yanked on every single bounce back loan they've defaulted and hit with 10%, with them fees and charges. So there you are. Put your big boy trousers on, Kevin, and start yanking every single one of that. It's 24 million they've had back of us, the taxpayer, in guarantee claims. Well, you perform a full audit. This is what we need. Contact every customer. Said, did they threaten to take you to court if you didn't pay them? Did they hit you with fees and charges? They did. Right. Tide, give us that 24 million or whatever it works out to be back. Tar very much. And donate it to a hospital or a children's home. There we go. Or build another imaginary school or something like that, Kevin. Right, now, he goes on to say, should a person or organisation have any particular concerns or incidents to raise, these can be directed to the British Business Bank via the contact form available, and it gives the web address. Well, there we have it. Should a person, well, I'm a person, or organisation have any particular concerns or incidents to raise, go to the British Business Bank. That, my lovelies, is what I'm going to do. And in fact, I'm just about to phone. I've got I'm not going to go into too much graphic details, but I have somebody who is being treated abhorrently by a different lender, and he's in the darkest of places. That's all I'm going to say. Now, I'm offering him support around the clock. He only has to pick up the phone to speak to me. But I'm now going to pass that person. I'm contacting the British Business Bank, and I'm going to say, I've got a person here who's highly vulnerable. Kevin Hollinrake says I have his permission. It is there. It's public now, to pass them over to you. And everybody else who I get, calling my helpline morning, noon and night. It's open 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's me you speak to, nobody else. If anybody else is vulnerable, you get in touch with me if you don't fancy getting in touch with the British Business Bank, and I'll pick up the phone and pass you over to them. I'll listen to what you've got to say. I'll advise you and then if need be we'll pass them over to the British Business Bank. Right, I'm going to let it lie now. I'm going to let what's happening behind the scenes. I'll see what the outcome of this is, because I've caused a lot of shit. Things are now happening behind the scenes, and I'm going to watch and report. Wow, so there we go. All right, well, thanks for listening to my rants, and thank you so much. Now, I know some of you like Labour, some of you can't stand Labour, some of you like Conservatives. This isn't political. However, it fucking is political when people are close to the edge. And I speak to people day in, day out, who are close to the edge, right? So when the government of the day, the Conservatives, are telling me we're not going to do anything, fuck off. That's wrong. We need this sorted. All right, that's all. Thanks for listening to part 1, part 2, part 3. Thank you for everything, everybody behind the scenes. I'm going to watch and report. And thank you to Charlotte Nichols once again, and everybody over at the Labour Party's front bench who has listened to... I've probably slagged you all off as well at some point in time, but thank you for listening. Thank you for helping that person. That chap is now sleeping better. It's a weight lifted off his mind, and hopefully there'll be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of more people who can sleep well at night, because this is going to get sorted. Okay, thank you. That's all. I imagine I'm going to do a part 4 once I know what the outcome of all this saga is, but we'll wait and see. Thanks for tuning in. Part 4 will be whenever it is.